Welcome to the Easy Flow Qigong series. This is the autumn series and I really hope that you get a lot out of it. It's a modern Qigong and it's part of a 5-element Qigong. So it's really simple to learn. Most ages and stages can learn this and you don't need to be super fit to learn Qigong. It really encourages you to breathe and just to generate some nice energy in the body, and it's to support particular organs and elements for each season. So the autumn element is in Chinese medicine will actually support your metal element. This relates to our lungs and our large intestines. So it will support your lungs if you're suffering from chronic coughs, pneumonia, asthma, breathing difficulties, and also during autumn if you're having any trouble with constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, as well as supporting emotions, most importantly. So it'll help with emotions if you're holding on to feelings of grief or not accepting yourself. And it's a really good time to create a bit of a routine during autumn, and just a great exercise to support your emotional and energetic health. So I really hope you enjoy it. Just to begin with, we're going to use what's called a basic stance. So it's just standing with our legs hip width apart and our feet facing forward. We keep our shoulders down from the ears and our arms by their sides with our palms facing in, hands quite strong and fingers together facing down. And that's just our basic stance, which is most of our forms. So when you hear me saying basic stance, this is all I mean. We also try and just open the hips up a little bit so we're nice and open to the energy and facing forward. Before we begin each form, we're going to start just by opening the gate. So just bringing arms out and above the head, fingertips touching at the top of the head, and then just fingertips together coming down the center of the body. And again, we're collecting the energy around ourselves for ourselves. It's a really nice way to energize the body. Remembering to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Coming down the central meridian line of the body. And we're actually pushing the energy down into our lower dantian or our hara point, which sits just below our belly point. Our hara point is where we hold our personal power. So if you can imagine collecting all this energy and you're feeling it into your personal power point. So it's like a big ball of energy, like a big sun. If you don't have a lot of time, if you could just do this of a morning, it's a great way to start the day. Okay, so for form 1, we start in our basic stance, arms up at shoulder height, and we're just going to swing them gently behind and up again. Once you've got some momentum, you just bending the knees, and you're just trying to bring them in rhythm with the arms, and it's almost like you're on a swing. I'll follow this routine with the full series without me talking and giving instructions so you can enjoy it for yourselves. And bringing it back to basic stance. Take a nice deep breath. Now this one's called Dragon Stretches Its Tail, and we're bringing the arms out in front, palms facing inwards and elbows bent. And then we're just twisting at the waist to one side, looking at the palms. The palms facing our face. Then we're going to gently push out with both hands. And bringing back in, looking at the palms. And alternating between stretching outward and coming in. Trying to keep your hips facing forward while we're doing this one. Then we swoop the arms down in a sweeping motion, looking forward and then twisting to the opposite side, looking at the palms and pushing out. Like an exchange of energy, giving the energy and receiving the energy. That's nice balance. And then back down. Our third form is called opening the golden envelope, and this is our metal element form that will support the lungs and the large intestines. So we start off, it's called holding the belly. So it's like you've got a big belly in front of you and you're just holding gently underneath. So it's not actually on the body, it's away from the body. So again, in basic stance, legs hip width apart, feet facing forward, holding the belly. We just breathe for a moment. Then bringing fingertips up together, up through the midline, and then palms facing towards the chest. We're shining into the chest. Again, we're not on the body, we're just facing out. Like we're shining light into our lungs. Then gently leaning forward, we're going to scoop in front and gently and slowly back up. Bringing the hands back up through the center of the body and resting with our palms facing just outside the ears and elbows back. And bring the elbows right back, squeezing through the shoulder blades, really opening up through the chest and the lungs. Bringing our arms up, palms facing inwards and looking up. And we're gently rotating at the wrist and bringing our arms down as we start to look forward again. And back to holding the belly. It's always nice to pause here and take a nice deep breath into the lungs. And leaning forward and scooping, bending at the knees slightly. Coming back up through the center, palms facing inwards, just on the outside of the ears. Again, our palms aren't touching our ears. Squeezing our shoulder blades together, bringing elbows back, stretching across the chest. Reaching up, palms facing inwards and looking up. Rotating the palms, facing out now, and bringing them back down to your sides while we're looking forward. And back to holding the belly. And just remembering to breathe. It's easy to hold your breath when we're concentrating. The more you practice, the more you can focus on the breath. And I always like to finish this, energizing the lungs and just taking a couple of deep breaths. Into the nose, out through the mouth. When we're breathing, try and make the breath in through the nose and the breath out just that little bit longer, as if you're blowing through a straw, pursing the lips together. And then back to our neutral stance or basic stance. Okay, the next one, we're going to bring the legs out a little bit further apart. This is called the horse stance. Still keeping our shoulders down, away from our ears, and head up, and keeping the hips nice and open. Now this time we're going to gently place our palms on the tops of our thighs, and then we're just going to sink in gently, bending the knees and just pushing out the collarbone and the chin. So we're just stretching out. I'll pop you on side view so you can see. Looking forward. So starting in this position, we're going to twist at the waist, trying to keep the hips facing forward to one side and gazing over the shoulder. Then we come back to the center again. You should be able to feel a nice stretch down the side of the neck as well, and all through the chest area. It's keeping the chest area nice and open. Remembering to breathe. And just feeling into the body what it feels like. Then to finish, we're just going to tuck the chin in and slowly roll back up. Our fifth form is called spinal cord breathing. So we go back to a basic stance. So our legs hip width apart again, feet facing forward, shoulders down away from the ears, arms by our sides with our palms facing inwards to the body and fingertips nice and strong. So we're going to bring the elbows and the wrist tightly together in front of the body. And we're going to tuck the chin in. I'm going to do this side on actually. It might be easier to show you. We're tucking the chin in and then we're bringing the elbows down, rolling in, bringing the elbows down to the abdomen. Then as we're rolling up, we're bringing the arms out, stretching out at shoulder height and looking up. It's like we're taking a big yawn and a big stretch looking up at the sunrise. Then we're coming back in. As our arms come to the center, so does our face, looking forward. And again, we just tuck in. Stretching out, looking to the sky and greeting the morning. Coming back in. And then just unrolling and bringing hands back to the sides. Back to the neutral position. And then to finish our autumn form, we're going to just close the gates again, just like we did at the start. Drawing in that energy around our bodies and bringing it to ourselves. Down into the lower dantian area here. It's really nice to begin to breathe into this area as well. It's a nice habit. It's a really good way of increasing our personal power. So breathing into our lower dantian or our hara point. When things might not be going our way, if we can breathe into this point, it can keep our systems really strong and steady. So the more we can energize that, the better. So now I'll run through the form. So if you'd like, this will be without any instruction or talking. If you'd like to follow, please do. If not, I hope you enjoyed the instructional videos. You can go back and look anytime you like. And it's nice to finish the form just setting an intention for the day. What's something that you'd like to bring in today? So rather than focusing on what we don't want, it's nice to think about maybe what we do want for the day.